100 plus World War II tanks are being balanced with the upcoming season Gods of Thunder that starts July 29th. And along with the balance changes, we also have two tanks that are getting up tiered. The first one being AT-60. It's going from tier 9 to tier 10. And the second one is PZKPFW38H. That will be moving from tier 2 to tier 3. So if you purchase this tank within the last 365 days and you have concern, you can contact support, and you can contact support regardless if you have any question regarding these two specific vehicles, because it's not just straight up buffs. They are also changing the tier, but we'll go. But to be honest, in my opinion, especially with AT-60, it is just a straight up buff because it's a tier 9 always see tier 10 anyway. And now you have more health and you will have, you're just better because you're going to face tier 10s regardless. So let's start with the reload. For one, I'm always excited for the balance changes, especially for buffs. And we have received some buffs a while back for the US and other nations as well. But for World War II, we hadn't received much buffs in last couple seasons. So let's get started. Can't wait any longer. First, we have M60 105, 8.3 to 8.9 seconds, 390 to 420 alpha, 30 alpha buff, and I would say slight DPM buff as well. And then we have M48 A5 pattern, the tech tree vehicle, hit points buff to 50, terrain resistance buff by 0.9, and of course dispersion during movement and rotation also getting buffed by 0.01, getting the same gun buff treatment. Reload from 8.28 to 8.6, 4 seconds as opposed to 6 that M60 got, and damage from 390 to 420, so a little bit of better DPM buff along with alpha for M48, along with other buff. And then we have the T96, another very, very strong tank, 8.3 to 8.6, 420 to 440 alpha buff, and of course light DPM with these changes as well. Next on the list, we have another premium M48A2. Reload increasing by 3 seconds, and of course the alpha going up by 20, same as E6, another buff. So slight changes, but to be honest, we are getting this alpha buff, which is kind of I would say a nerf to the tanks that are not getting buffed, especially against TDs, since they're not really nerfing the alpha of TDs. This could be seen as a buff to the mediums and also the nerf to the TDs, because now you'll just trade better. However, with all these alpha buffs, there is always a little bit concern on the bottom tier vehicles like tier 8 and tier 9. We'll see if we have something in stock for those as well. MBTP-B, the anniversary tank from last year, rotation speed buff by 2 degrees, turret 28 to 34, 6 degrees of turret rotation. A reload is being increased by 9.9 to 10.3, so 0.4 and 20 alpha. I think again a slight DPM buff, if not the same. Only like a little bit of difference, and most of them look like slight DPM buffs along with alpha buffs, so that is helpful. However, there is one thing though. We saw 3 tanks going from 390 to 420 that kind of eliminate the special alpha of Leopard 1. Next we have E5, or one of the OPS tank is getting a buff as well. 0.4 second of reload increase and 20 alpha buff, and now it will have the 440 alpha buff, same as the MBY. T57, this looks like a significant buff. Terrain resistance improvement, rotation speed by 4 degrees, dispersion during movement and rotation by 0.03. Reload is only increasing by 1 second, but alpha is increasing by 20 per shell, which means 80 in total. That's a huge reload DPM buff, and aim time also improving from 2.5 to 2.3. So T57 not to be taken lightly anymore. I mean, to be honest, even after the previous buff, it was a serious contender. We just don't see that too often because it's factory and sold, but it is very, very solid tank now. One of the most lethal auto loaders with these alpha changes as well. Next we have T58, slight rotation speed and terrain resistance, so at least not the alpha buff. But to be honest, what can you buff the alpha for T58 to, right? 750 to 800. So glad I didn't receive any alpha buff or the reload. Then we have the tier 9 M46. It has multiple, but we're going to look at the top tier. This tank has been buffed, nerfed, buffed multiple times, but looks like it's getting buffed again. So health from 17 to 1800, rotation by 4 degrees, reload. No, not for 90. We're interested in the 105. So 0.3 seconds of reload increase, and alpha is getting increased to 420 as well. So that's nice to have 1800 alpha. Sorry, and health. That is, if I'm not mistaken, that is tier 10 level medium health. And going back to chassis as well, because this is the top tier, rotation speed also increasing by 2 degrees, and then slight improvement to terrain resistance. So I would say decent buff. And then we have the T54E1 that has been converted to heavy lately. Improvement to dispersion by 0.02 on both chassis. Turret, well, for 105, only focusing on that. Again, 3.3 seconds of reload increase, accuracy increasing by 0.02, and damage buff by 30. So clearly a buff as well, because it's getting an improvement. It has 4 shells. So a 120 alpha increase with only 3 seconds. So definitely a DPM buff along with the accuracy. So decent change for that. M103, another tank that is getting buffed. And this one is actually seeing a alpha buff. Actually, it's the same as E5, but from 10.8 to 10.35 or 0.5 seconds of reload increase and 20 alpha buff. Again, I think the DPM stays the same, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. I'm not exact, but let's say it stays the same. So they're just aligning every, from what it looks like, every 105 to 420, and then 120 to 440. And as I said, it is good if you're fighting the tier 10 TDs, right? But there is concerns about what happens when they face tier 8s. Maybe this is a sign that we're getting +1, -1? Maybe, who knows? Who knows? Because these tanks will definitely be more stronger against tier 8s now. Next, we have a phase 1, reload increased by 0.5 and alpha by 20. Concept, this is rough actually. Concept doesn't have the greatest DPM to begin with, and I think this is the tank that actually needs some love, and this just doesn't feel right. So if you look at Fangula, right, 440 alpha and it has 11.9, and then Concept, I know it has more mobility, right? I know this has APCR, 14.6. That's 2.7 seconds of longer reload and 10 less alpha. Why? Why the hate towards Concept? What did he do? What crime did he commit? To be honest, I would have been nice if this tank received some love as well. T30 120, well, that's not I would consider that a buff because, well, I mean, it's a stock gun, so we're not going to go through that. Same with the T90, it's not the 750. Just slight improvements to 120, aligning it with the other 120. So now we have TS60, reload increasing from by 0.5 seconds and a buff from 420 to 440 as well. And now this is the tank we were all talking about. We're excited about AAT60, the tier 9. Well, to be honest, definitely the best tier 9. Same as Night Stalker, but it could excel Night Stalker in some situation. But overall, very, very strong. Even tier 10s are scared when they face this tank because it's a TD concealment with a medium mobility and a heavy tank armor. And if you bought this tank, maybe you got it from chest, or regardless, the value is going from 14,000 to 22.5. Health 1650 to 1900, so that's decent considering the mobility. We do have some medium that have 1900 health. Maybe 1950 would have been more in line because it's not a stealth TD. Usually stealth TDs have 1800, and then we see some TDs that has armor around 2000. So maybe 2000 would have been the right value, but we'll see. I mean, because that's what I'm expecting, right? This tank doesn't have an alpha so much, so 2000 hit points wouldn't be bad. View range 380 to 390. Penetration buff from 251 to 268. Beautiful. Shell velocity slight increase 1450 to 1478. That's nice. So I would consider it a straight up buff because, as I said earlier, the tank sees tier 10s anyway. So now we're coming to our tier 8s. I do wish tier 8s get like a 280 alpha because 240 just doesn't seem to cut it. So chassis for pushing, terrain resistance buff by 0.2 on terrains, and for turret 50 HP buff, armor panel getting buffed from 203 to 225, reload and aim time improvements as well by 0.2 seconds each. So some buff to pushing is nice as well, to be honest, to begin with. Like some of the tier rates are nice because they've been buffed over the years. Next we have T32, armor panel 254 to 279. That's turret 1. Let's focus on turret 2. Turret 2 already have a good armor. Okay. Yeah, I was a little bit confused. I'm like, what? They're buffing T32 armor again? That's the best turret armor in game. But that's the turret 1. So turret 2, no changes to armor. Accuracy buff for 105 and 90 as well by 0.02 and slight aim time. So very little change to T32. It is already a hull down monster. Then we have T28 with alpha and reload increase again. Usually the 120 are getting like 0.4 alpha change in most cases. Sorry, 0.4 reload increase and then 20 alpha change. DPM slightly, it increases slightly. Same with prototype, 0.4 increase in DPM, 20 alpha, 0.5 for bone shaker, unfortunately, 20 alpha. And then we have T22 prototype. It is being converted to tier 6 premium. I think it was a tech tree vehicle that everyone had. If you were in the game, or if you kept the tier 1 when they retired. Now we have our next list, Germany. So like tier 10s or the US tanks have been buffed for multiple times anyway. They were like too strong and now they are even better. None of those tanks that we went over were weak to begin with. They were like all solid tank. So let's see E50. This is the tank that needs buff. It was nerfed with update 4.6 and let's see what it gets. Health from 2050 to 2100. If it's up to me, E50 should have the highest health out of all the mediums. We have E6. I think with that logic, E50 should have. See, then it starts conflicting, but I think it should have the same like hit points as E6. A slight terrain resistance buff by 0.1 to medium and soft. Rotation speed increased by 0.4. We are getting a reload buff from 9.4 to 8.7. So that's a nice reload buff and slight aim time buff as well. So it does look like a decent buff. However, it still has the 390 alpha. And if we compare the 8.7, this reload is same that the US tanks got, but they have higher alpha. But I don't know. I think head-on battles E50 still loses. It does need that like a turret armor buff or the turret cheeks. That's something that's needed so it can bounce a little bit more, as the tank doesn't have the great camo. E6 just outplays this tank, but at least we got something. But I think there's a room for improvement for E50 as well. Moving on to E100, 128 with a reload buff by 0.5, accuracy buff 0.01, aim time 0.2. And for 15 seconds, 1 second of the reload 0.37, and aim time by 0.02. And unfortunately, we still didn't get the 530 alpha because we have Tiger Mouse now that's getting 530. So I'm waiting for the day we get the 530 alpha on these E100 gun, the mouse gun, but unfortunately not yet. Similar with mouse, armor panel nerf, 250 to 50 mm. I think it's the lower underbelly, so no one really shoots it. And that's getting nerfed. I don't know who was blocking damage there, but apparently it needed changed, so sure it is. Moving to E50, 105 aim time change only, and a rotation speed by 32 to 34. No reload changes here. I haven't played E50 in a while, but it doesn't look like a. I don't think it's been buffed for a while, so it doesn't look too special here. E75, very solid tank, and this one has been buffed, and this seems like a nice buff again. Dispersion during movement and rotation by 0.03 by turret 2. Looking at the 128, that's huge. Reload increase or decrease by 1 second, accuracy improvement by 0.01, and aim time. That looks beautiful. It already has a great armor and another improvement to the gun handling and reload. Even more lethal. It can, the tier 10s, they have to be concerned because they might have received buff, but so does this E75. Now we have VK Bravo. Is it getting the stardom it once had, or the fear factor? Let's see. Dispersion buff, same as E75, right? Oh no, it had slightly worse, but now it's going to be same, 0.04 dispersion, movement and rotation. And for turret 2, getting gun depression buff by 1, that's nice. Reload buff by 1 second, and then aim time by 0.3. So it has better reload than the E75 because it is rear mounted, so it is tough to play. No armor buff, but we do get some gun depression is nice, and of course reload. Then we have the Indian Panzer. It is already the best tier 8 medium, one of the best, because it has received numerous buffs. But here it is, your standard buff. German tank or lightly armored tank always get buffed for some reason. And here's one more, the rotation speed by 2 degrees to turret and chassis, and then the 8.8, 0.33 to 0.32, and 0.1. So slight buff, but it has already been buffed so many times. So yeah, For Panther 2, we have the terrain resistance buff to medium and hard. Turret 2 for 8.8. Reload is getting buffed, and then aftershock dispersion penalty. Okay, that seems nice. 3.25 to 2.5. But to be honest, the reload is 7 seconds, so this penalty is not really impacted much, or doesn't affect the performance. And we have our Tiger 2. Holy moly. What's happening with Tiger 2? Chassis rotation speed buffed by 4 degrees. Dispersion during movement and rotation 0.18 to 0.15. Turret 2 rotation degree buffed by 2 degrees. And for 105, we are getting a reload buff by 0.4 seconds. We already know Tiger 2 received buff and they changed the alpha, and another buff for Tiger 2. Always a monster tank to deal with, not to be taken lightly. Then we have the VK alpha. This should have similar to Tiger 2 dispersion during movement and rotation buff by 0.04. Remove the stock gun. For 10.5, we have a reload buff of 7 seconds accuracy and aim time. And if I'm not mistaken, does this have a better DPM now? I don't remember what the VK alpha is. I think it is 360 though, right? Nonetheless, if it is 360, then that's a nice DPM increase. And here's the second tank that is being up tiered from tier 2 to tier 3. Panzer Kampfwagen. Gold value is increasing from 750 to 1000. Health by 90. Reload from 2.29 to 1.9. DPM increase by 200. And of course, the rate of fire. Okay. I mean, German, not so. I don't think overall like E75 was like the only thing in Tiger 2, but nothing special in German. Slight improvements to even 100. US, we had a dominate buffs to most of the tanks. And what do we have? This is the one we knew. FV225 this season pass tank getting buffed to reload 8.7 to 7.8. That's one gun in total. You're getting 1.8 seconds of reload buff. I think it comes down to 15.6 for a 700 alpha, huge DPM for that gun. FP4202 reload increased by 0.6, alpha increased to 420. This is a terrible tank. This tank needs the gun handling buff. It needs concealment. You can keep the hash gun, that's fine, but this needs the concealment buff. Like Centurion has gotten so many buffs. This tank needs the concealment buff, and I think this is FP4202, and players or average player, new players doesn't play the tank because it doesn't have premium. And this tank needs a lot more. This is terrible. This tank needs concealment. This tank needs gun handling. Should have better gun handling than Centurion because it has less alpha. And let's look at the Centurion health buff by 100. Centurion is like after the last buff, Centurion means business, and this just shows it even more. Dispersion during movement 0.14 to 0.1. Reload increased by 0.2. Accuracy improving by 0.02. Aim time by 0.2, and then damage by buff by 30. So this is a huge buff. Centurion has, out of all the 105, Centurion I think got the best treatment with the HP buff, with the dispersion. And look at the 8.7, because even M48 I think is 8.8 or something. But look at the accuracy, and it already got a buff. It has much better concealment than the American heavies. Then we have Manticore. Finally, that was a robbery when they nerfed Manticore and released Techno. But finally looks like, I don't know the exact nerf, but looks like most of it is unnerfing of whatever they did. Glad they listened. Terrain resistance buff, rotation speed by 3 degree, dispersion during movement by 0.02. Again, rotation on turret by 2 degrees. View range by 10. Accuracy 0.38. Dispersion penalty during turret rotation 0.002, and then aim time. I think it's the same unnerf. But there could be slightly long, but at least it's getting, unnerfed quickly. That's like the quickest unnerf we have seen in the history of WoD. It seems like something changed in the balance department. Chieftain Mark 6. One of the best heavies in the game. Rotation speed by 2 degrees. Reload by its reload increased by 7 seconds. We're a 40 alpha. Okay, I think it still keeps the DPM though. But now, why even play Valor, huh? Why do we play Valor if now they have the same alpha? And of course, Chieftain has a better DPM. Next we have is FB215B, rotation speed buff to chassis and turret by 2 degrees. 120 mm is getting ammo buff finally, 35 to 40. I would have preferred 50, but at least we're also getting the alpha buff. I don't know what's the thing with only giving us 5 more shells. Is there a secret tax that gets applied if you give more ammo? Because this tank does need more ammo because it can't really brawl most of the time in front. Reload increase from 8.2 to 8.8 to 5 seconds. I do think the alpha DPM does increase as well. And internal fire chance, that is also nice. 20% to 10. Moving to Super Conqueror, rotation speed buff to both turret and chassis, again 2 degrees. Reload increase by almost 1 second. I think this one might have slightly reduced DPM now, but does have 40 more alpha, and the internal fire chance is getting reduced as well. So the tank is slow, but it does get the higher alpha now, right? I think that's the reason. Still, the DPM, I don't think if it's getting decreased that much, but again, on par with the other tanks. For tier 9, Centurion 7-1, chassis 2 rotation speed by 6 degrees. Turret 2 getting a buff by 30, or that's the total health, I guess. 1750, less than the pattern mode, which has 1800. Rotation by 4 degrees. Reload increased by 0.3 to 105, and then 30 alpha buff. Another internal fire chance buff from 20 to 12. Do they even get set on fire? I know FE215 gets set on fire, but never knew that it's the problem with Super Conk and Centurion 7-1 as well. Now we have Conquer, another OP tank. Turret 2. Reload is getting increased by 1 second, and then damage by 40. So I think this one definitely a DPM nerf, but this tank is super strong anyway, so I think it's okay. Internal fire chance buff as well. Then we have Conway getting reload increased by 0.5 and alpha by 40. It's a DPM buff. Moving to the tier 8 Centurion Mark 1. Chassis rotation. You know, these rotation speed, you might think it's not much, but it is very crucial. The more I play, you kind of realize that mobility helps you turn, and then you, as a result, can put shots faster and survive, right? So all these little things, they do help. It's not always about the health or the DPM. So turret 2 rotation from 36 to 44 degrees there as well. Yeah, 4 degree on the chassis we saw earlier, and reload buff by 0.3. I would want to see alpha buff on the mediums. As I said, I want at least 280 alpha. That's why I like Indian Panther and Mutts. But 240 is just not enough. Carnarvon, another veteran buff or tank that keep getting buffed. Holy moly, what is this? Chassis 2 rotation from 30 to 36. That's not all 100 health buff. Now it's the same health as Tiger 2. Rotation buff by 3 degrees. 32 pounder getting a DPM buff by 0.4. Whoa, 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 whoa. This tank, huge buff. Huge buff. Charioteer getting a 0.6 reload increase and 30 alpha buff. Is this, I can't tell. I think the DPM stays around the same or close to it. Then we have the USSR tanks. 140 health. 1000 definitely needed. 1100 more health. Concealment buff. Nice, nice. Rotation speed. 54 to 58. Terrain resistance improvements slightly. View range. Oh man, this view range buff along with the concealment. This is nice. And then rotation speed on turret as well, 6 degrees. Reload buff slightly. So now they do have the 320 alpha, but if you remember, like they mentioned something about removing rapid loading and steady aim, and I think once that happens, these tanks are going to be lethal because they will not be impacted much when they remove those perks because they have fast rate of fire anyway, and they can deal damage much more effectively once they remove rapid loading. Then we have K91 finally getting the concealment buff it needed. It needed the concealment buff. It will be finally. It needs to have the best concealment because not the fully rotating turret, right? So it's going from 0.26 to 0.315. So it had the worst concealment than 140. That never made sense. Now it says better. So that is huge. It already had the great view range. Yaw limit increase from 110 to 120. Nice. Armor panel. 140 to 160 and another one from 180 to 200. Looks nice as well. And another armor panel on the 100 is 160 to 180. Okay. For this tank, I did needed the concealment buff. Reload buff would have been nice as well, but at least I'm getting concealment, and it's a nice concealment buff. Looking forward to it. Then T62A also getting a health buff. What was the health? 2050. This is one of the most, or the best. This is the best Russian mediums. Yeah, reload increase as well. And that's what I'm kind of wondering. K91 didn't get the DPM buff, huh? 140 did, T62 did. T62 also getting accuracy buff to 0.3, aim time buff to 1.9, dispersion from 0.1 to 0.08. Holy smokes. Man, this is some nice changes. Yeah, they're maintaining the 320 alpha, but these are going to be the high rate of fire guns. More so when that perk is removed. So interesting to see how they plays out. Obviously you still have to be careful because now you're, instead of fighting against 390 alpha, you're fighting against 420 alpha or 440. 705, reload buff by 0.6, accuracy buff by 0.02, and aim time 0.7. Slight buff, better than nothing. The tank is decent, especially when it comes to bouncing shots. 277, terrain resistance buff. Soft terrain only. Rotation speed from 27 to 32, 5 degrees. Accuracy improvement by 0.02. And engine horsepower is getting buffed by 55. That'll definitely make this tank move a little bit faster with those terrain resistance changes only for soft, but yeah, it is small buff, but it's going to help with the mobility, so it's closer to 5A. For tier 9 430 version 2, also getting its yaw limit increased from 90 to 120, same as K91. That's all always helpful, because otherwise sometimes it becomes awkward when you're trying to circle and your gun just locks. Then we have T54, chassis rotation speed by 2 degrees, terrain resistance by 0.2 on hard and medium, and soft is 0.4. Dispersion during movement 0.14 to 0.1. Oh, that's actually huge. View range buff from 390 to 400. Reload buff by 0.1. Actually, no, which gun am I looking at? They have 3 guns. I assume that D54 is the best one. So that one is only getting the accuracy buff. Okay, so then we have 705. Getting an accuracy buff of 0.2, and with, sorry, we have to look at turret 2. 0.5 seconds of reload, accuracy, and aim time. Okay, so similar buff at 705A. It's a nice tank as well, especially it fires premium APCR. 257 getting some love as well. Accuracy by 0.2, aim time by 0.1. And 122 BL13 is getting accuracy buff by 0.37. Actually, this is the only one. This is the for turret one, so ignore that. It's getting this buff. Okay. I get confused with these tactory tanks because it has different modules, right? But we only want to focus on the top module. We have T10 chassis 2 dispersion during rotation. Oh, this is also a beautiful tank. 0.2 turret 2 health buff by 50, rotation speed buff by 2, and then accuracy buff from 0.34 to 0.32. Yeah, these changes gonna come in handy when they remove steady aim, like these accuracy changes. Otherwise, we would have more ghost shells. ST1 hull is getting buffed. Armor 1, 2, 6, 13 by 10, 25, and 15. Dispersion from 0.25 to 0.2, that is nice, that's huge. And turret 1 is getting buffed as well. So now I don't know if turret 1 is... I assume it's the stock one, right? So turret 2 is not getting buffed. And all guns armor panel from 200 to 220. Then we have 416, another one of those tanks that keep getting buffed, nerfed. This time looks like a buff. Yaw from 90 to 120, same as K91, standardizing it. And then for turret 2, the rotation speed is 40 to 46, that's nice. And for the top gun, we are M63 accuracy buff. Okay, so reload isn't for the top gun. Then we have T44, one of the oldest tanks. I never played this tank because I went to a different line. But it's getting a buff as well. Rotation speed by 2 degrees, dispersion improvements. 116 to 0.12, but 32 HP buff. Yeah, that's what's needed. I think the tier 8 should have. The medium should always have like 1500 or 1450 HP, and then the heavies could have at least 1600. That's what I feel. But below 1450 is not acceptable for a medium unless it's a really fast, like maybe Borask. So for turret 2, different guns getting buffed. The 100 mm buff from 7.5 to 6.8, aim time from 2.3 to 2.1. And 122, who likes to play that high alpha, is also getting... What? Is the reload is getting buffed from 8 seconds? Okay, this must be a typo. It must be something else. It shouldn't be 8. I think it's something else. Maybe it's like 11.8 or 12.8 to 11.7. And aim time improvement to 3.23, and then accuracy from 0.42 to 4. Because if it's reloaded 8 seconds, that's just insane. ISM, hull is getting buffed by 10 mm. Chassis 2 terrain resistance improvements. And turret 2, we are getting a reload buff of 0.3 accuracy and aim time. So same buff as 705 and 705A for this one as well. For KV4, we have dispersion improvements by 0.5, 2.23 to 0.18. Turret 2, a view range buff, much needed. Yeah, I never understood why these tanks are so blind. Like 350, same with the IC. Like, why is it 350, man? Are they not supposed to see anything? Are they supposed to be handicapped? But at least, yeah, 370 finally. A rotation speed from 20 to 24. A reload on 107. Buffed by a second and better aim time. And of course, the minigun accuracy also buffed from 0.48 to 0.4. IS3 probably getting a view range buff. It better. Chassis dispersion factors during movement and rotation 0.21 to 0.19. And for turret 2, rotation during speed by 2 degrees. BL9, we are getting a 1 second reload buff with 0.02 accuracy and 0.2 aim time. No view range buff, huh? Okay. I think it's still 350. I have to check one of these things as well. This view range buff is actually... Yeah, they gave it to turret 2 for KV2 as well. So for IS2, view range is getting buffed to 370 as well. And the reload for 100 mm, 9.7 to 9.5. But it is dual barrel, so you can see like could be 0.4 for both the guns. Oh, that is a lot of tanks. We are not even halfway done yet. Now it's time for the French AMX-30B getting dispersion factor rotation improvements by 0.02. Reload improvements, reload is increasing by 0.1, 9 seconds, and the alpha is going to be 420, so that's a DPM buffer right there. Bat chat, okay, I'm not even going to look at 100 mm, but it is getting its reload unnerved from 44 to 42. I think the original was 40, it went from 40 to 44, so slight unnerve. For the original 4-second nerf they got in 4.6. I think we should have gone back to 40. Murad changes, reload increase by 2 seconds. Interclip is going from 2.5 to 2.73. So increase in interclip, increase in reload, and then your alpha is being increased by 30. Okay, so this is more of a rebalance. I think everything stays, the DPM should stay the same because it's 5-7 seconds in total, and you're getting 90 more. Yeah, it is a slight DPM buff as well, but they just take more time to dump the clip. So 5.5 or close to 5.5 instead of 5 seconds. MXM4 20. Oh man, why? This gun is already terrible when you compare to E5, and now like E5 got an increase in reload by 0.4 or whatever, man. It's a 1 second. Yeah, E5 had a 20 alpha increase though. But yeah, reload to 11.4 for 440. What's the point, huh? Then we have Foch. Foch is getting a 120 is getting a 4-second reload increase. But this is a straight up DPM buff because it's 40 into 6. That's 240 more alpha for 4-second increase in reload. It still keeps the 2-second interclip. However, this means that before it can only clip tanks at 2400, so even at 2400 health, tank could have survived. But now I think the potential comes to 2640, which means any tank that has 2500, and there are a lot of those, will definitely be killed if they're getting clipped by the 1.5 or the 120 mm. So definitely you're killing a lot more heavies now with this improvement, because 2400 is 100% kill and 2500 HP is also 100% kill. So that is the first TD buff, right? but also to the 120. At least at the tier 10, yeah, we do see some tier 9s or 8s, like T30. Then we have AMX 30 Proto, chassis rotation buff by 6. 105 is getting a reload, increased by 0.6, but aim time improvement 0.2, and an alpha buff to 420. Actually, that is turret 1. We have to look at turret 2. Reload increased by 0.6, and then the same, yeah. Aim time improvement by 0.2, and the damage by 30. Then we have bad AP, turret rotation, or chassis rotation by 6, turret rotation by 8. And the aim time, yeah, 2.5 to 2.3. Damage is going from 300 to 320, and penetration for premium is 271. And that's a nice buff. Yeah, kind of irrelevant on the bat at tier 10, but useful in the bad AP because of the better aim time and alpha. That means the better DPM. Then we have Lorraine getting a rotation speed buff to chassis by 6 degrees, dispersion improvement by 0.5, reload buff by 2 seconds, aim time by 0.2, damage by 20, and of course the penetration buff. So that is huge for Lorraine. Nice DPM, alpha, clip potential, and aim time buff. The tank doesn't have the best concealment, so it definitely will be competitive. I'm interested to play how this tank plays after all that buff it received. Yeah, do let me know in the comments what tank you want me to play. That's the tank we'll play. We'll have like a 1-hour video of any of these tanks. The ones that will receive the most votes. Then we have 5120 for rotation speed. That's turret 1. Does it have 2 turrets? No, but turret 1 is from 38 to 40. And then 120 is aim time improvement by 2.7 to 2.5. Minor buff. MXM for 51. Turret 2 reload is getting increased by 1.2 seconds and alpha by 40. That's the gun I use, and they keep nerfing those. The Foch at tier 9 is getting reload increased by 4 seconds, and then alpha buff as well. For tier 8, AMX 65, a chassis terrain resistant improvement. Turret to rotation by 2 degrees, then some armor buff, 160 to 180. And for 120, we are getting holy moly, man, 2.2 seconds. No, sorry, 1.2. I'm just panicking. 1.2 seconds of reload buff and aim time from 2.7 to 2.5, and then 40 alpha buff. 5120 removed stock engine, chassis 2 dispersion improvement from 0.2 to 0.18. That is nice for 110. Oh, this is beautiful. Aim time from 3 to 2.5. Yeah, it does have a longer time. Aim time, especially as I said, right? The tank doesn't have camo, so they will be spotted, and aim time does come in handy if you want to avoid taking shots. Damage or alpha buff to 320. And we have penetration improvements. Somoa getting reload increased by 3 seconds. 120 didn't get a reload increase, right? Yep. Damage increased by 20, and then penetration. I think relatively 120 or 5100 would be slightly better than it was, and then Somoa would be, or they would be closer, but Somoa might not be as good as 5120 when it comes to dishing out damage now. But it does have armor. For AMX M4, 100mm, reload increased by 0.6, alpha by 320 again. Yeah, that's the 300 alpha guns that are getting changed. For AMX AC, damage, no change to reload, just the damage. Our alpha buff by 40, so 120 extra potential. For Audis, we are getting a reload increase by 0.9. That seems a little bit too much. And alpha to 420. The tier 7 is also getting the reload buff increased by 0.6, and then alpha. It's the same gun, the 300mm. Let's move to Japan, and there we have it, boys. STB is going from automatic to manual. I don't know how I feel about it, man. Yeah, I liked the Cold War one that had manual, but the reason I liked it is because they had a better gun handling. Their values on in and out of siege mode was different. They had way better accuracy. So well, we'll see. You know, so drive siege. Okay. That's not bad. This is not that bad. Look at that. Drive mode is 53, and siege mode is not slow either. It's 40. It's 40, so it's usable. I think it's gonna be usable. If it was like 25 or something, right, that's more of an issue. But I think once you get to position, the 40 is not bad at all. Okay, there's hope. So chassis 1, drive mode, rotation, yeah, 0.1614, but this is the siege mode, 0.15 to 0.1. That is huge. That's what I'm interested in. Actually, armor panel, 195 to 240. Okay. A reload is getting increased by 0.4, alpha by 20, so a DPM buff, accuracy to 0.32, aim time to 2 seconds. Oh, this is juicy. After dispersion shot, penalty 3 to 2.5. And dispersion penalty during turret rotation is going to 0.08 for siege mode, 0.12 for drive mode. Siege mode, this is look accurate. And then this is armor panels again, 240 to 265, 220 to 240. There are a lot of armor changes. Oh, STB looks juicy. It looks juicy, man. Nice, nice. Improvement 420 alpha, yeah. Great gun handling, and I see potential here. I see potential here. We'll find out. I hope I'm not disappointed with the manual change, because the 40 might be workable. Ideally, automatic is the best. I think we only have one tank left now that has the automatic, and that's Wind of Arrakis. So basically, that's special, huh? But yeah, STB definitely playable. It won't be that bad as it was for years. We will see. We'll play it out STB for sure, for sure. Tier 9 Type 61. Chassis 2 improvement from 0.14 to 0.12. Reload is getting increased by 0.5, and damage or alpha is getting buffed from 390 to 420. Horsepower buff as well. That is a huge horsepower buff, 604 to 750. So the tank will be faster. One thing this tank needs is the shell count buff and the concealment buff. They missed that. That's the most important factor. It has the worst camo for tier 9 medium. Pretty sure it's worse than the E50 as well. But it's like super bad. It's not usable. Tier 8 SDA 1, it's, yeah. Okay, chassis improvement. Dispersion improvement, ring movement and rotation by 0.2. For turret 2, we are getting a rotation speed improvement by 2. And 90mm Type 61 gets getting a reload buff by 0.3 and accuracy by 0.2 and horsepower buff as well. Oh, these tanks are gonna be... Why are they getting horsepower buff at tier 8? Isn't it already faster than the STA2? But I guess now they want to create a difference, because STA2 was actually the same as ST1 and it was pref. We'll see. Yeah, so it's going to be better than STA2, because that's pref, and that's the only thing that makes sense, right? Non-pref should be better, but apparently STA2 got multiple buffs multiple times and was same as the STA1 with pref matchmaking. And then we have OHO, the rotation speed increased by 2, reload increased by... Which gun is which? So 10 centimeter experimental gun. That's just the aim time, and then the aim time on 15mm as well by 0.2. I don't think it's so much of a buff to OHO, because the problem with OHO is you don't have frontal gun depression. China, okay, no tier 10 buffs. Tier 9 is getting accuracy buff from 0.4 to 0.38, and the rotation speed by 2 degrees. So not much. For T-34-2, we're getting a reload buff from 12.2 to 11.9. Minor buff. 110 is getting a dispersion rotation movement by 0.2. Then the turret 2 is getting rotation buff. And then 122, that's a nice, oh, that's too nice. Yeah, that's a nice reload buff on, so 100mm is getting 10 to 1.8.7, 1.3 seconds. And then also the 122, 11.8 to 10, that's 1.8. Would be interesting to play. Haven't played it in a while. TVP, reload increase or reload buff, or reload decrease at buff, but from 26.5 to 25, 1.5 seconds of reload improvement. Wouldn't change the playstyle much. I do feel that TVP needs the party wagon's gun in terms of penetration and shell velocity. Skoda T50, terrain resistance improvements. It's just the worst party wagon, Skoda T50. Turret is getting a reload, but from 25 to 23.5. Yeah, why play Skoda when you have party wagon with better gun, better camo, and speed? Tier 8 TVP, getting a terrain resistance for chassis 2 for medium and soft, and the 88 centimeters getting a slight reload buff, same with the 105 as well, 0.4. TNH 105 is getting, I think this one is the dual barrel. No, this is a single shot. No, they're both single shots. I guess 11 to 10, and this is the upgraded one, 10 to 9.6. Yeah, I think they're both like stock and the top tier gun. Maybe the changes with the turret. I can't tell what is, because they're definitely not the reload of a dual shot, right? Swedish units also getting changed from automatic to manual. Does go slightly slower. 50 and 38 in siege. Accuracy is getting improved from 0.38 to 0.37. Shell velocity is getting increased for APCR. No accuracy buff to this. Why the hate, man? Oh, STB got the accuracy improvements. This one also has worse accuracy. Why did it not get accuracy improvements? I mean, like when in siege mode, right? So dispersion during turret rotation in siege, 0.1 to 0.08. Yeah, okay. This is a little bit disappointment. STB one seems clearly better. Crown 1, turret rotation by 2 degrees. And we are finally getting the alpha buff. And not only 3, we are getting 4 shells, 440 alpha. That's what you all wanted, right? And Ball Game is like, here's an extra one for the late penalty or interest. And accuracy improvement by 0.35. Now it's different from, so I guess 50, 120, no, 50B is the only one that has 400 alpha now, huh? Then we have Stir, dispersion during movement in siege. Yeah, this was kind of worse, but okay, so this is now 0.2. Aftershock dispersion penalty in siege mode. Yeah, that was, I don't know why it was 18. Why was the bloom going so big? It's for a damage from 390 to 420, so no change in reload, so DPM buff straight. Siege mode transition time 1 2.5. Beautiful. Beautiful. This is just beautiful. Stir is getting straight up buffed, boys. It already has the armor. An even better gun. Now, look at the transition time. 0.5 seconds. UD is also going from automatic to manual, 50 to 38. That's the speed. 15 drive, 38 in siege. And then for 105, reload is getting buffed by 1 second, and alpha is getting buffed by 30. Sorry, reload is getting nerfed by 1 second. For ML2, dispersion factor during movement and rotation buff, 0.25 to 0.22. Reload by 4 seconds, and then alpha is by 40. So DPM buff as well. Derv 103 is getting a damage alpha buff, and no change to reload, so it is a DPM increase. UDIS 14 alt 5 terrain resistance improvements, and then the 105 is getting whoa. That is nice. 105 is getting a reload buff. That's what, 2.5 seconds? Yeah. Accuracy buff, aim time, and aftershock dispersion penalty. So this tank is gonna be solid as well now. ML1. This is third one. So 10.5 for 105. MM will get a reload buff by 3 seconds and aim time improvement by 0.4. UDIS 03 is also getting a alpha buff by 30. Same with the Sturv, but Sturv is also, unfortunately, Sturv is getting a reload increase. The UDIS isn't. Make factories great again. Oh! I never realized I would live, but we will see a buff to 60 DP. We finally do. Still think Chog is better though. It's just better in every way. But 0.9 second of reload, 0.2 aim time. It's something, but I don't think it's enough. ES59 is getting a turbo mode, boys, or rapid mode. Concealment factor is reduced by 35% in rapid mode. 2 seconds to switch. So CS63 is not the only one. CS59 is also getting the same rapid mode. Dispersion during movement and rotation for rapid, yeah, you can't really shoot. So for turret 2, the aim time is getting increased by 0.7. Because they're giving us more speed, so they're reducing the reload, huh? So rapid mode horsepower is 1080. Forward speed is 65. Yeah, it is faster, so you get the reload nerf. But that's nice, right? Like, usually I like the mechanic to start from tier 8s rather than just a tier 10. 50 TP for 122, getting a reload improvement by 0.4 and accuracy by 0.4. Could use more, to be honest. DS53 also getting the turbo mode or rapid mode. Terrain resistance improvement as well. And for this one, aim time is buff, accuracy is buff, and reload. Oh, we have to look at turret 2. Holy moly, that is a lot of modules. It is getting aim time buff and accuracy buff. Reload is not getting nerfed, which is good. Yeah, 62 top speed. 53 TP. Aim time buff by 0.2. Now we have Italy. Progetto. Nice. That's juicy. Rotation speed buff by 4 degrees and the reload buff. Doesn't Progetto have 4 shells? Let me quickly check. Doesn't Progetto have like 4 shells? Or I'm just mistaken. That's 4. 13, 17. Okay. 13, 15, 17. 13, 15, 17. So only 3 of them are getting buffed. To 12, 14, 16. So 1 by 1, right? So that's still good, right? That's 3 seconds in total. The tank does have decent gun handling, so not bad. For Rhino, boys, now we are talking dispersion during movement rotation. 0.3 to 0.25. That's nice. Accuracy from 0.36 to 0.33 and aim time to do we have, holy moly, finally. Rhino would be able to hit shots. You can use the standard shells and hit targets. I don't know why Rhino had the worst gun handling, but that aim time improvement with accuracy and movement rotation, that is, I think that's gonna be huge. That's going to be huge. Glad to see that. For tier 9 standard B, rotation buff by 2 degrees, view range by 10, nice. Reload improvements. That is really good improvement. Yeah, this taking a really bad deep reload apparently. But it did have 10k in it somehow. So 15.7 to 13, that's 2.7. 17.7 to 16, 1.7, and then another 1.7. Yeah, so in total that is 3.4, 4.4, 5.4, 6.1, right? It's something. It's something. Progetto mod 66, chassis dispersion factors improvement, movement rotation. 0.4 for turret 2. What do we have? Alpha increase from 400 to 420. Okay, so this one's keeping 420. Because it's 105? Maybe that's why. No, it seems 120. That's why I did 400 alpha. That seems weird. Rotation speed buff by 2 as well. Controcaro 1 Mark 2. Okay, so not Minotauro. Alpha buff from 400 to 420. So Italians are getting alpha buff from 400 to 420. Not the 440. Pantera. Health buff by 100. Nice. Rotation by 6 degrees. And then the reload from 1011 to 79. That is nice. That is nice. That's like 4 seconds. Oh, this is competitive now. Definitely. Is Besante getting a buff? Let's see. Projectile mod 54. Dispersion during movement and rotation by 0.4. Canon 10553 accuracy improved by 0.1. This is 0.2 and yeah, 0.1. 0.01 accuracy and 0.2 aim time. Vipera is getting a reload increase by 2 and alpha by 20. CC 77. Same alpha, reload by increase by 1 and alpha by 20. For Mercenary, Chisel, they did a sneak peek. Reload increase by 0.7 and alpha to 440. It is a slight DPM increase, but to be honest, I would have wished we also got the view range unnerf because it has 400. It would be nice if it get 420. A machine rotation from 32 to 36. Reload bug buff from 28 to 26.4. And the much needed penetration to standard shell from 248 to 255. Irate Cruncher. Oh, the last one. It took forever. That was a long list. I mean, it took us an hour to go through it. I don't know how long it took them to actually make the changes. Dispersion during movement improvement by 0.03. Turret rotation speed by 2 degrees. Armor panel and buff. Reload by 0.4. And then dispersion by 0.02 as well. So some nice changes. Especially glad to see there were not that many TDs. Glad to see a lot of tier 10s or World War II tanks that were changed, especially tier 10s. Some of them, I don't know if you needed it, but maybe it's like a bigger plan. What's happening? I always like the buffs, right? I'm just a little bit concerned about how the tier 8s would perform. We did see some changes, but there are a lot more tier 8s. TD is much of not of a problem. It's usually the heavies that I'm worried about, the tier 8 heavies. Have the rough life. But let's see how it plays, how the matchmaking develops. But I'm optimistic from lots of certain tanks like Manticore Unnerf, the Rhino, some love to 60 TP, the 440 on some of the tanks looks nice. Machine getting some DPM. In addition, there are some other changes as well that I'm not going to go through the list because it is huge. These are the ranks we're getting: Private Class 1, Corporal, Sergeant, Staff Sergeant. But there are like a lot of tier 1 to 4 tanks that are coming back as well, but I'm not going to go through them. It's just tier 1 to 4. You can go through it. There is one more thing. The regiment coins will disappear, so make sure you use that. We are getting a new tank, and this new from the regiment store for next season, and it's French tier 5 M10 RBFM. I think it's a French Wolverine. It used to be a reward tank for a refer tank program, and now it's a collector. So if you're a collector, you can get this tank. I didn't really care about it, but apparently it's some sort of rare tank because I never got it from the referral program. In addition, we will have new camos. So some of these camos do look nice. The metallic camos, actually, you can go through them. I'm just going to show you. I'll probably use this one, red one, red checkered, and then red camo. This is my favorite. And then we have some emblems. Yeah, that is it for this video. Do let me in comments. What do you think about the balance changes? Are you happy? Are you worried? Do you like some of the tanks? Do you like the changes to 8060? Are you going to contact support, or are you like you're not happy with what they did? Or you're happy because it sees tier 10 anyway? So that is it for this video. And as I said, if you're not in the regiment already, check out our community regiment. I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the battlefield, boys.